I saw what I saw!
I saw what I saw, but no one believes me.
Discovering what's different about ourselves. It can make life exceptionally rewarding or painful. It often starts with a simple moment. Perhaps we're told we're weird or special as a child, kept out of the in-group, or discover something unique while working our way in or out of trouble. It's a rite of passage for us humans, an invitation on the road to personal acceptance. It can put us in position to see past our differences and to better recognize the ways in which we are similar. But imagine never having to begin that search for a difference. And instead of wondering as a child, you turned your attention to keeping your difference a secret. Welcome to Right on Missing Time.
He was incidental. I think we were led there, and I'm not even sure how much of a role he actually played in the entire event.
So is that what you tell the therapist when you're about to go into regression?
I had tried to explain to her or paint this picture of, my life in fairly, fast strokes of what had happened, and that this was just something else that had happened to me.
Chapter 1. Act 1. A Curious Thing.
I had kind of a childhood of just unusual events and of not feeling like I really belonged here. As an 11-year-old, my dad found me unconscious in the yard one night. He couldn't wake me up, brought me inside. So an older brother ran next door, and when I opened my eyes, all these people are standing over me, looking very concerned, and I was extremely embarrassed. But I remembered what had happened. I was outside running from those lights again, these huge beams of light trying to get me. And that was the last thing I remembered. Why do we have these things happen? So the day of the event, Ashley had arrived the night before, so we got up, prepared our equipment, loaded the car, grabbed some coffee, and hit the road. We had about a 3.5-hour drive. We learned about Chris through Kathleen Marden, who was a MUFON investigator and the niece of Betty and Barney Hill.
The Mutual UFO Network is a U.S.-based nonprofit organization composed of civilian volunteers who study reported UFO sightings. Please stand by. Transferring call.
Barney and Betty Hill were an American couple who claimed they were abducted by extraterrestrials in rural New Hampshire in 1961. It was the first widely publicized report of an alien abduction in the United States. Transferring to Kathy Marden. Please stand by.
Hello.
How are you doing, Kathleen?
I'm doing well. How are you? I was involved in with two women who were referred to me by Stanton Friedman because he was impressed by their scientific rigor as paranormal investigators. They're both well educated. One worked in medical research at North Carolina University for her career. The other one's a historian. And so I set them up to go to Chris Bledsoe's house to see if Chris could call in a craft or orbs or something. He's well known for photographing them. Yeah.
So 2 weeks prior to leaving, We conducted an investigation at an area called Pilot Mountain, and out of the blue, we got Chris Bledsoe's name through the spirit box, and Chris's son's name also came through, and it indicated that he was sick and had been hospitalized. We were able to validate that after returning home and contacting Chris. So at that point, we knew we had to visit him. So we arrived on the property around 1 o'clock that Saturday afternoon. I was very impressed with the house and the nice, huge yard. It was very well maintained, and we drove up into the driveway, and Chris and his wife were on the front porch. Their children then came out to greet us, and a very nice looking family. So they immediately came out, helped us unload our equipment, invited us in, gave us a tour of the home. We settled in, asking questions, getting to know the family, and preparing for the investigation that evening. So he shared a lot of stories and additional experiences that he had had on his property. Straight out the back door, pretty far back into the backyard, was a catalpa tree. And there have been reports of this tree just spontaneously bursting into flames and burning for days at a time. And Chris showed us videos of he and his son, with a hose. They thought they'd put the fire out and then it would just start burning again. To me, that made no sense. Well, we had spent probably 8 hours in the house. We had planned to go out earlier, but a huge thunderstorm pushed through and delayed us going out. So around 10 p.m., we're gathered around Ashley's video camera, which she had set up on a tripod, and it had night vision. We made our way over to the catalpa tree. The sky was incredibly clear after the storm pushed through. It was star-filled, 3/4 moon. It was getting late. 4 of the 7 of us retreated to the house and called it a night, and that left myself, Ashley, and Chris to start, the serious investigating. We started hearing communication come through that they're back and they're above us through the spirit box. And so we start looking up, and we could see what we at first thought was just a really bright star to the left of the moon. It's bright and it's kind of pulsating, and I began to shake, like a chill, but a lot more intense. This light, coming towards us was anxiety provoking. Got more, communication coming through the spirit box, and that's pretty much the last thing I remember. When I came to, I'm standing shoulder to shoulder with Ashley and Chris in a line, and we have none of our equipment in our hands. And I felt like I was really dizzy, kind of swaying. And Ashley was swaying, and she said she didn't feel well. It was like we were dazed, like out of it. We were like, where's our equipment? And looked over, and it was laying under the catalpa tree, turned off. So I started gathering the equipment from under the tree. Like, I just wanted to get the equipment up and get inside before I passed out. I felt like I was going to get sick. And I remember Ashley was trailing way behind us. And, I'm trying to deal with my own,
Hello?
Hey, how are you?
Hello, Ashley Field. How you doing?
Good. Let me get some tea. I'll be right with you. Hang on one second. And this is where it gets really screwy. I remember saying, do you want us to shut our equipment off? Let's shut the equipment off. I asked. We shut our equipment off and laid it on the ground. That doesn't make any sense because that goes against everything we do. We are there to gather information. And yeah, that's about where that stops. Chris and Pam are there. I'm probably 5 or 6 feet behind them, facing the opposite direction. I remember standing there looking, and I'm looking, and there's grass. So there's only like a few trees, and they kind of line up. And there's a tree to my left. Everything that I looked at had 18 inches of a white haze around it, like what you might call an aura. The grass, the hedge, the trees, everything. And in front of me, maybe 16, 18 feet, was a glowing creature, solid white. It seemed humanoid, bipedal in stature, but you couldn't make out any features. Whatever the actual shape was had like this glow coming off of it that was so bright it distorted out. But it was solid white, but you could see like there was a deeper white where probably its body was. I blinked and it was still there. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm fascinated because I'm looking at the grass and I'm looking at the trees and it's all got that like aura to it. And there's this creature standing in front of me, whatever that was. And I've just got this euphoric feeling like, oh my God, I am one with the universe right here. And I blinked again and the creature was gone. And then I think I turned around and was like, I don't even, what are we doing? What is going on?
So Chris and I entered the house before Ashley, and she came inside and was talking about seeing something over beyond the blueberry bushes. Like everything had energy around it, and Chris's wife is coming out of the bedroom, kind of frantic, in her nightgown, saying, "Where have you been?" I guess she'd looked out back from the patio and said that she did not see us and that it was 1 o'clock in the morning. Total confusion. It did not seem like it had been 2 hours. We kept it, insisting that we were out there. None of us knew what else to tell her. So we, I guess, spent about an hour inside drinking coffee and preparing for the ride home. We were no more than 4 city blocks from the property when we saw what we thought was a really bright shooting star over the treetops, just across the sky. Ashley and I both saw it and we were like, wow, look at that shooting star, and drove on down the road. It was the next day when I listened back to the recordings that I realized we have an hour and 45 minutes of missing time. So in the next several days, we start sharing EVPs and video, and it's just incredible communication indicating that something crazy happened. Something happened to us.
Why the machines?
Like, what do you mean, the machines?
Well, you can hear machines.
We have the exact same sound from the cabin, May 15th, the same roar. We think we had some missing time that night.
What? Oh my God. All
yeah,
right,
so that's another story.
No, it's not. We're going to have to get that. So you're talking about Pilot Mountain, where you got the EVP about Chris.
Yes.
Act 2. Lost and Found.
So going into her office, she had one of the white noise machines going, sort of a soothing sound, and a little waterfall playing in the background. There were multiple shelves of little statues, animals, figurines. She had a very comfortable setting. So she took the wingback chair, and I made myself very comfortable on the sofa. What changed for me was going from being really excited, thinking, okay, something happened, to a little bit of anxiety and fear. I did not like not knowing what had happened to me for almost 2 hours. She introduced herself from a spiritual and consciousness perspective, but she was also a family counselor, child trauma counselor. So I felt a level of comfort in being able to talk with her about, my life and some of the experiences that I'd had since I was a child.
Did you find yourself having to revisit old trauma too at the same time? Like what was...
So when I was 10 years old, I was in my bedroom one night preparing to go to sleep, and I looked to my left, and there were two beings standing by my bed, a man and a woman. They were each dressed in black bodysuits. They had black turtlenecks on. They had dark brown hair. The woman had shoulder-length hair with straight bangs. The man had sort of a long style haircut, similar to what would have been popular in the 60s. The man held a huge timepiece in front of my face, and he said, "When the clock strikes 12, we're going to take your head." I watched the clock count down to midnight, and I felt as though I did not have a head. It was terrifying. I can't explain how horrible it felt. The feeling of just the hopelessness, but magnify that 1,000 times. I was crying. I was very distraught. I got out of bed. I went into an adjoining room where my older sister was. My dad had left to go pick my mom up. She worked a second shift job. And I told her that these people had come into my room. They had taken me and taken my head. She took me by the shoulders and she was shaking me. She said, "You do have a head." I was like, "No, I don't." My parents returned, calmed me down at that point. I was finally able to go to sleep. A day or two later, I woke and my entire head was covered in a bright red rash from the neck up. I was taken to the doctors when they could come up with nothing. I was prescribed some ointment, but I was out of school for at least a week. So subsequently, memories started to kind of surface, and that's when I reached out to Kathleen and had the regression. And, some really far out stuff came through.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So post the event, you get the video. Your best guess is?
Just too fucked up to figure out. As I'm compiling it, I don't understand it. It's 54 minutes of video. That's all it is. Time didn't line up. So I'm sitting in my office. I'm going through video. I'm zooming through and I see like this flash, this light. I'm like, what the hell was that? So then I back it up, slow it down, and I start dragging it frame by frame by frame by frame. And I'm backing it up and I'm looking at it. I'm like, holy shit. Picked up my phone, called Pam. Pam, pick up.
I've done frame by frame analysis on the video as well.
Yeah, what did you see?
Oh, I saw what looked like a partially, I'm trying to think of the word, partially concrete or whole, but translucent entity, expanding in size as it moved across the screen in front of the camera, and it had a little blue light in its hand, and you could see it moving the light back and forth as it looked back and forth. And there was a burst of light, and there was an entity standing near the camera, and you can see its outline, you can see the black clothing. It's wearing some kind of headgear that partially obstructs the view of the face.
Unexpected surprises. Touched. A bridge. Inside out. Turning out. Turning inward. Rejection. Excommunication. Expelled. Home. Homeless. Redefining. Making right. A quandary. No way out. Descent. The journey. Help. He. She. They. Reaching. Reaching out. Recovering the unknown. Burden of proof. A dark hole. Burden of proof. Darkness.
Hi, Pam.
Hey, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. How are you doing?
Good, good. Nice to see you again. It's been a while.
It has been a while. It's been, I don't know, how long has it been?
About a year and a half, I guess. Well, I wanted to mention while we're talking, I have like almost 60 minutes worth of audio that was taken from the video camera that night during the
Wanted to
missing time
follow
event.
up with you on that. Yeah.
There's some crazy shit in that audio. I mean, I'm talking about them bringing us back through a portal.
Mm-hmm. Can you take me through what happened with your regression?
Chapter 2. Act 3, Revelation.